Welcome and thanks for joining me. My name's Joe Russell, I'm the co-founder of Dreamwalk and I guess somewhat of an industry veteran, having worked on and helped launch hundreds of mobile apps over the last 10 years. Today we're going to be talking about choosing an app developer for your project, and specifically the 3 biggest rookie mistakes new app entrepreneurs make in this crucial first step of choosing a developer. Who you choose to design and develop your mobile app is an extremely important decision. Not all app development agencies are created equal. Here in Melbourne, we have over 60 developers to choose from, many of them highly reputable and capable of delivering an amazing app, and others not so much. But if you're not familiar with the industry, telling the difference between the good and the bad can be tricky. So much of your precious time and money is at stake. Pick the right developer and your experience will be a smooth and enjoyable one. Pick the wrong developer and you could waste tens of thousands of dollars and end up with an app that simply doesn't work. Now, this happens more often than you'd think. In this video, I'll reveal the 3 biggest rookie mistakes people make when choosing an app developer. And these are mistakes that are completely avoidable. Mistakes that could end up costing you your life savings and result in months or even years of needless stress and even legal battles. So if you avoid these 3 mistakes, you can ensure the successful completion and launch of your app. Mistake number 1, getting development done offshore. Now, the promise of cheap offshore development is an enticing one, but when you take your project offshore, your risk of project failure increases dramatically. There are lots of reasons for this, which I won't go into here. If you've read some of the articles I've written over the years, you'll know some of the details of why. In my experience though, what happens when you take your project offshore is you get inexperienced developers who are overworked and churning out poorly written code with little to no communication. They require constant and relentless oversight and micromanagement, and the resulting apps are often not even releasable. Now, I've fallen for it a number of times early in my career, and many app development companies here in Melbourne actually still get their app development done offshore in India or the Ukraine in an attempt to try and save money. But the fact is, like most things in life, you get what you pay for when it comes to app development. I've seen countless offshore app projects come back full of bugs with poor architecture, corners cut, budget blowouts, massive time frame blowouts, and in many cases, apps that just don't work. Now, rarely will you actually save money by using a cheap offshore development team. More often than not, you'll end up spending a lot more money repairing poorly written code or having to start again from scratch. When I was first starting out, my brother and I had our first app idea built offshore, and despite spending tens of thousands of dollars on it, it just never worked properly. Now, we tried to get it fixed by another offshore company, and another 10 grand later, it was worse than it was to begin with. After one final attempt to salvage it with another offshore developer, we ended up having to scrap the entire app, all the money wasted, and we had to start again from scratch locally here in Melbourne. I've seen this same story play out dozens of times, and it costs people so much money and stress. In fact, our problems with offshore developers was the main reason we started Dreamwalk, our own app development company over 10 years ago. So the moral of the story, before engaging a local app developer, make sure they do all app development in-house locally here in Australia. Don't let your precious project end up offshore. Now, mistake number 2, going for the lowest quote. Now, pricing across the different app developers can vary dramatically. As I mentioned before, in the app development world, you generally get what you pay for. If you're getting quotes from multiple suppliers, you should be very cautious of lowball quotes. A company quoting dramatically less than the other developers usually means one of 3 things. Either they're outsourcing the work offshore, they don't understand your project brief, or they're having financial trouble. You don't want any of those things. Quality app development is expensive, and trying to do it on the cheap is fraught with risk. In general, paying more will get you better developers and a better result. Now, obviously you don't want to be paying more than you have to, so it is handy to have a benchmark to compare quotes with. I've provided a link below to an app development cost calculator. You can use it to get a rough idea of what your app should cost before going to developers for quotes, and then you have a benchmark to compare those quotes against. Now, mistake number 3, choosing a company based on size. Now, so often people associate a company's size with the quality of their products or services. In my experience in the app world, this actually couldn't be further from the truth. There is no correlation between the size of the app development company and the quality of the app or service you'll receive. In many cases, working with a smaller developer can actually mean your app gets more care and attention. Also, given the volatility of the industry, bigger companies are often worst affected by economic downturn or market fluctuations. Now, Appster is the perfect example of this. With over 400 staff, it was by far the biggest Australian app development company before it collapsed last year. It reportedly took just 3 months of poor sales to bring the entire company down. They went into administration in December last year, and apparently their customers lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. The simple fact is, with more staff and higher overheads comes more risk. So choose an app developer on their merits, not on their company size. So those are the 3 biggest rookie mistakes I see first-time app entrepreneurs make when choosing a developer for their project. Your choice of developer is potentially the biggest decision you have to make on your app journey. Choosing the right one can lead to a smooth and enjoyable experience and an amazing product to launch at the end of it. Choosing the wrong developer can cost you thousands of dollars, stress and heartache. Avoid these 3 mistakes when choosing a developer and set your project up for success. I hope you found this video helpful. Stay tuned for more app development tips and advice from me coming to your inbox really soon. Now, if you have an idea for an app and you don't know how to get started or you have questions, I've got an offer for you. For the next 30 days, you can get a free 30-minute app strategy consultation, plus a bonus 7-point app idea assessment and report from my expert team here at DreamWalk. It's absolutely cost and obligation free, and it is value packed. In this half-hour phone consultation and free assessment report, you'll get a feasibility analysis to find out if what you want to do is technically possible and if it's going to be financially viable. You get an on-the-spot app development cost estimate, no waiting days or even weeks for estimates, on the spot. You get 4 hidden competitor insights that reveal how much money your competitor is making and how much money you could potentially make, plus 3 other key insights you really need to know about your biggest competitor. You'll discover how much money you could get back from the Australian government through their R&D grant program, and hint, it could be a lot more than you expect. Monetization tips and advice, so you can design your app to be a money-making machine and not a money pit. You'll also find out if there's consumer demand for your app. We'll find out exactly what people are searching for and how competitive the market is for your app. So to claim this offer, simply click on the button below. It'll take you straight to our bookings page where you can choose a day and time that suits you. Now make sure you claim your free consultation now while the offer is still available. We have limited capacity and could take the offer down at any time. Thanks for listening and best of luck on your app development journey.